Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're here live with Co-working Live for Red Worldwide, and we're excited for those of you who have joined us in the studio on Zoom and those of you who are joining us now on YouTube. You might also be seeing this later on TikTok or Twitch or Twitter or X or Facebook or Instagram. And so we do realize that, sometimes you get an opportunity to watch it after we've actually broadcast live, but we are happy that you've joined us whenever you've joined us. And so we're just today excited for those of you who are with us. But today we're going to be having a modified version of our Tech Thursdays. I know I'm not Javon Freeman from Lux Vision Studios, and I'm not probably going to be coming with anything that's too tremendously interesting for most of the people who are really in the metaverse. But for those of us who are doing cross-platform stuff, I'm hopeful that what it is that we're going to share today is going to pique your interest. And so with that said, I'm going to pull up some slides and hopefully, get really heavy into some things that will pique your interest and make things a little more useful for you as well, as you're looking at some of the things that you might be thinking about doing with your business from an app standpoint. We've talked about apps in the past, and I'm going to share an app with you later today that we actually have perfected. We talked about that particular app a few weeks ago, and we've now perfected it, and it's going live within the next day or so. And so with that said, we want everyone to get a chance to see a real live example of what it is that we've been talking about with regards to creating a progressive web application. And so that's a PWA. And so with that said, we're going to take a look here. I'm going to bring up a couple of things on the screen over here on the side so you can get an opportunity to have the ability to see what it is that we are talking about. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and make it so that everybody will be able to see what we're talking about, and just walk through what we are, looking at when we talk about using mobile apps to better serve our clients. And so some of us have, been really thoughtful and, mindful about how we've developed out our web services that we might have online, our online home. You might have a website or a web portal or some sort of a existence online. Some people are just operating off of what they have in YouTube. Others might be operating off of what they've got on Instagram. I've seen people who don't even have a website anymore. It's been, quite interesting to watch the progression of how these types of things have gone over the years. 10 years ago, if you told somebody you didn't have a website, they didn't want to do business with you. And I mean, really, there were lots of very large companies who, transitioned online and did so in such a fashion. They spent, some of them hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have the privilege of having had an experience when I had my schools available years ago. We had the opportunity to have people come in and speak, and there was the young lady who came in after she had been at the Black Business Summit in the Black Business Expo down in Los Angeles, California. She was the youngest millionaire of that year. And she was, just literally 18 years old, and it turned 18, and at 17, she had made $1 million creating a website for a company that was just amazing. And so there are people who are still paying lots of money for websites, but more often than not, people are using services to make a website that does not require that they have to spend $1 million anymore. It's just not something that is, a thought the way that it used to be. And, it's quite interesting to see where people are going, because people are spending a lot more time and money on their apps than they are on the actual sites. And so we're going to talk about what types of apps you can do as a young company, a company that's maybe, less than 5 years in business, and you have something you want to put out there and you want to make sure that you can get it out there quickly, and you may really need it to be more functional, and how people get the information. And so we're going to talk about how we can do that with a progressive web application. So we'll start here. Our agenda for today, over the next 30 minutes or so, is to really understand what a progressive web application is and the importance of, a mobile app for a startup, for a person who is just starting in business, how important it could be to have an app that people can, get in touch with you, or for that matter, even do business with you, from. And so we want to look at some designs, and how you can develop it, what is easy or what is, not as costly. The difference between having a progressive web application and having something that might be available on Google Play or in the Play Store, or something that might be available on, Apple's, iTunes, or actually it's no longer called iTunes, but it's now just the App Store, and so you want to look at, how can we optimize performance, with the PWA? What can it do for us? Will it boost our user engagement? Is there a way for us to use it for marketing purposes or to measure success? How can we, look at if the app is effective? How do we know it's working? And so let's get some case studies, with regards to progressive web applications. And then we'll kind of wrap up and do some takeaways and show you how you can get one. Okay. So let's talk about it. So, really, when we're talking about a progressive web application, it is a type of web application that offers a user experience similar to something that is a native mobile app on your phone or your tablet, and there's an added benefit of being able to make it accessible through a web browser when you have a progressive web application. A lot of times when you download an app from the app stores, whether it's the Google Play Store or the Amazon Store, or you're downloading it from the App Store on Apple, you don't have the same way of using it in a browser. Sometimes they have a browser version, but often, and more often than not, those apps that you're putting on your phone, you can't use just directly from a browser. You'll have to have a phone or some other mobile device in order to use it. So when we're talking about a mobile application, these applications are designed to run on a phone or a tablet or some type of mobile device, providing specific functionalities that use the services that are native to those phones. Even there are apps that are designed to run on the smartwatch. Those are designed for the smartwatch, and they might coincide and work alongside of something that's inside of the phone. But for the most part, its design is to make it functional on the devices that are mobile. So when you have a startup company, that is a company that's been newly established. It's a venture. Usually, we look at it, that's maybe 5 years or less, and it has limited resources, and its focus mainly is on growth and innovation in those first 5 years of, creating the company. So why would the app be important for a startup? And literally, what kind of benefits, would an app be able to offer someone who might have a startup? So let's take a look at that. For startups, mobile apps are their tools that are crucial for attracting users, building brand recognition, or driving growth in the company. And so when we're looking at why it's important, we want to think about the fact that it's a direct channel for a customer to be engaged with you. You can actually generate leads, and you can have data-driven decision-making, when you have something in your hand. I want to tell you that we looked at some statistics about how many times that people pick up their phones in a day. or for that matter, how many people have their phones sitting on their desk next to their computers. Even though they're using the computer to do their work, the phone is still going to be there for quick access for them to be able to handle things. And so I've heard a lot of people talking about the phone is going away and we're only going to be using the smart devices, the watches, and maybe the headsets or the glasses. But today, the phone is still relevant. So since the phone is still relevant today, we're going to talk about the benefit of a mobile app, to enhance brand visibility, make sure you have customer loyalty, and have market differentiation, in this competitive landscape. For those who are doing business as a restaurant that doesn't have a mobile menu, I tell you, it's really, they're like not in the game. And I want to tell you that for real. I know of a few times where I wanted to go to a particular restaurant, but because I couldn't find their app to be able to order ahead or to see whether they were open, or, I just had some difficulty finding them. We didn't go to that restaurant that day, okay, because I had to make sure. I didn't want to go all the way across town and find out that they weren't open, or for that matter, that they didn't have something on the menu that I could eat, because my diet is a little different. So having the app could be the difference between someone, wanting to use your services or not, and I know that people say that a lot of this is being done now on Facebook and in Instagram and on these mobile or these social applications. But I am telling you that I looked at the data and I'm saying that the data is showing that there is still a place for mobile apps even today. And so having an app that actually demonstrates information and demonstrates how people can engage with you, how they can get set up to buy your services, having an app that has, some primo services that you might offer, something that they can buy today from you, your packages available there, being able to see some video, footage of how things work at your company, or even seeing how the product works, or if you're a coach, seeing you in the app coaching, where you can leave messages and different things. Those things are still very relevant, and they make a lot of good interactions with people who are your prospective clients. The conversion rate is just there, So let's look at, what an app is, or what a progressive app is, and how it works. So the PWAs, which is simply, an acronym for Progressive Web Application, are web apps that provide a native app-like experience, but they use the web technologies. So they combine what's available natively on your smartphone or on your tablet device with what's available in a browser, and it gives the best of both worlds. And why do I say that? Well, a lot of people say that their websites are responsive. And what it means to have a responsive website is that when a person comes to your website, they're using a mobile device of sorts. They can actually go to the website, and the website will retrofit to their phone or to their tablet device very nicely, and give them the ability to see things succinctly the way that you would see it on a browser, but more of, the flexibility of it, the user experience is better, for the person using the tablet or the phone. However, we have come to understand that all browsers are not equal. And so, unfortunately, it shows up inside of Safari one way, but it might show up inside of Chrome a completely different way. And depending on the kind of phone that you have, the size of the phone, even though it might be a mobile responsive website, you still may not be able to see everything, or it might be laggy because it might be a GIF or some other type of moving, item that's not necessarily scalable. And let's not even talk about if it's a picture that has been put in what they call parallax, I believe that is, which is a type of system that will cause, it to actually look really good in the right type of browser. But on your phone, you may only be able to see half the picture. And that is not a good experience for somebody coming to your website. However, when you develop out a progressive web application, there is the ability for it to actually completely retrofit to the phone. It fits the phone or the tablet perfectly. It doesn't matter whether you turn it landscape or whether you have it in portrait. The application itself is designed to move according to the size of the phone, the way the phone is set up, inside of it. If it has a bezel, it takes all of those things into account, and you get something that really looks nice, even though it might be, a web application. So it's not necessarily a device, or I should say an app where you go to the web store or the app store and download it, but it still looks like that. So PWAs are, software delivered through the web. They're not an app that's built out with some sort of JavaScript or, I can't think of the name of one of my favorite softwares that they use in building out apps for Apple, but it's not developed in that way. It's developed as a website, but in a type of container that will allow it to be pushed through the phone and operate like an app. Okay. So it's built using common web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, it does have a version of Java, but not the type of version that, is used for specific apps that are native, that gets downloaded from the App Store or that's native on the phone when you get it. Now, the features and benefits. Well, PWAs offer offline functionality, push notifications, fast loading speeds, and cross-platform compatibility, even though they're not the type of apps that come from the App Store, because they have the ability to communicate in such a way, even though it's a browser-based platform, it communicates in such a way that it can receive a push notification, or it can have some offline technology or functionality so that if you're not connected to the internet, you can still use it. So I like the fact that it, has the ability to work inside of a browser, but it also has the ability to work on top of just your phone without an internet connection. And then when you connect to the internet, if it's something that needs to be sent, like you have to submit something, then at that point you can, it will submit something to, wherever it is that you're sending it over the air. Now let's look at, some other functionalities here. When you develop a mobile app, what type of strategy should you use? So you want to have a plan, okay? And you want that plan to kind of outline your objectives, who you want the app to work for. Is it something that's really just internal for your team? Or is this something where part of the app works for your team and the other part of the app works for your customers? Okay. What are your user experience goals? Do you want them to be able to have certain functionality that allows them to interact with the app, and in a way that doesn't require them to have some instructions or anything like that? And if so, you might have certain things that are functional inside of the app that gives them cues and prompts to know what to do next, or how do they, press a button here and get to another page. There are certain things that you want to include in the app that will make it easy for the people who are using it. So you want to put that in your app strategy, and you want to talk about the features that you want and not just the benefits. Okay. And so a lot of people talk about the benefits, they want to know the benefits. But when you are talking about creating the app and having a strategy, you need to talk about the features first before you talk about the benefits. And then you want to look at the user experience. What is the overall user experience supposed to be? When a person is interacting with the mobile app, how are they going to engage with it when they first sign up? Do they sign up just putting in their username and password, which would be like their email address and a passcode? Or do you have the functionality on your app that allows them to use Google or Facebook or it's one of their other socials to sign in? Do you want to make sure that this app is going to be accessible so that people who have limited mobility can use it? Maybe they have the ability to, turn on something where the app speaks to them instead of them having to, interact with the app by just pressing buttons. Is this app designed for there to be some kind of emotional connection? Do you have music playing, or is there something that's moving around to keep their attention? And then you want to look at the features and the design. You want to be able to select, all of the features that you would want. You want something that is going to keep people coming back to the app, not just, coming back to the app so they can get your phone number, although that's a great thing to have in there, or to even have it so that they can click on a button and it automatically calls you or automatically sends an email. Or for that matter, if you have some sort of a robot on your website, maybe they can interact with the content that's there, your frequent asked questions, from inside of your app. That might be something that you would want to do there. And so when you want to look at the design, you want to make sure that it gives off your brand identity. Is this app really speaking to who you are online, in your office, and everywhere else? So when you're developing out PWA for a startup, you want to look at a few things, the development process itself, the frameworks and tools, and what are some best practices. So when we're looking at this, I really want to be I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you that, again, development processes are not all equal. And so you might be able to have someone that tells you, hey, I'll charge you $600 and I'll develop the app for you. And that's great. But after the app has been developed, what happens if you need to make a change? So we want to understand the process of creating the app and, how we might be able to do something that will give us a little bit more control. Because if it costs you $600 to make it, and then it's going to cost you $1,500 if you have to fix it, that may not be your best solution. So just saying. So understanding that the process itself combines web technologies to deliver a reliable, engaging, and fast-loading user experience. That is the development process. However, that development can be done by a lot of different types of teams. And if you don't know what your budget is, or at least have a concept of what you really have to spend, then you might end up getting involved in a process that costs a lot more than what you really expected. So you got to, understand that there are lots of ways to develop out a PWA, but we can look at some frameworks here. There's a framework called React, and there's one called Angular. There's also some tools like Lighthouse for testing and making sure that it's optimized to streamline the PWA development. But then there's also some other softwares that you can use where they already have apps that might be built out inside of the software, like Softr, SOFTR, and JotForm, or and even Airtable. All three of those have a semblance of internal components that can be put together to create really good PWAs you don't have to spend nearly as much money. It might cost you a monthly fee, but the monthly fee itself may be only for things that you might want to pay for. There might be a way that you develop out an app and you pay a one-time fee to get into the software, develop out your app. And if you only have some very simple things that you want the app to do, you may never have to pay another amount, so those are things that you think about. But some best practices. What are some best practices? Well, responsive design, having offline capabilities, and the HTTPS security. Those are three must-haves. And the reason why I say that is because the quickest way to get people to stop using your app is if it doesn't work right, it's not responsive to their phone, or it takes too long to load, or for that matter, it can only be used if they're on the internet. Now, some people might not have a problem with only being used if they're on the internet, because if they're on a phone, the likelihood of them not having a cell signal most of the time is going to be slim. But you want to have some capabilities within your app that are offline, that will help to make it easier for people to say, okay, I just wanted to go in here and get a little bit of information. So if you have things like you may have information about your entity that's inside of the app. Making sure that that information is available offline is really important. Phone numbers for your entity and email addresses are ways for them to, get in touch with you. Even if that's, through text message or whatever, if that's available through the app, that's great. Also, you want to make sure that anything you can do to enhance the user experience, not having type that's too small, that's going to be huge, because there are people who will get turned off because of the fact that, well, you know what, this is hard to read. It's too many colors, there's too many this or too many that. I don't want to do it. And so they won't use your app. And now you've lost a client or potential customer, because of the fact that the app didn't work, in the manner that was, pleasing to them. So, you want the app to really use the technologies in the phone. That's another real good thing that you need to understand. If there are maps inside of the iPhone, there's a mapping software there, your app could use that same map, to help people find you. Okay, your office. You could also have other technologies with using the PWA. Maybe they need a calculator to be able to calculate something that they're working with inside your app. You having the progressive web application use the calculator that's native to the phone is going to be key, because that's one less thing that has to be developed. It's just something that is directed, and that's directed through, a simple code. As opposed to, a huge amount of scripting or coding to get them to the right place inside of the phone to use those native functionalities. So native apps are native applications or mobile applications that are developed specifically for a single platform, such as an iOS or Android device. Those are great in certain scenarios, but again, it's going to make it so that you have to deploy it for more than one app store. And so that can be costly. $499 is what we would pay if we weren't a nonprofit to develop in the iOS store. And we develop there. We do develop in both Android and in iOS. However, we find that it's better for our clients when we can develop out an app that people can just get access to by going to a specific domain online. Now, you can still charge money for people to use certain parts of your progressive web application. So do understand that there are ways to have it so that people can log in and they can pay for things through the, progressive web application. This is not a situation where by using a PWA, you lose access to things that you could have in a native app, because things that can be done in the native app just as easily can be done in the PWA. It's just a different process to make those things happen. So when we're comparing pros and cons, how, should I have this PWA or should I have the native app that I can get from the App Store? Which one is the best choice? Well, in terms of performance, development costs, offline capabilities, and access to device features and distribution channels, those are things that you want to think about when you are comparing one to the other. It's really apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. But if you do have to make a comparison, just think about, what would you pay to have a native app developed out for you and put in the App Store or put in the Play Store? And I can tell you, just on cost alone for development, it could be upwards of $5,000 or $10,000 even to develop out a native app. Now, I know there are some softwares that say that you can purchase and pay a monthly fee, and then your app, they'll develop out the rest of the app and put it for you in the App Store. But when you start totaling up what that monthly fee could be, I was paying, I think, $399 a month for an app that was developed out for me and put in the App Store. Was it worth it for me to pay that? Or was it better for me to create that same app as a progressive web application? And then I could still charge people $1.99 a month to use the app, but without me paying the $399 for somebody to host it on Amazon NAS. Okay. So I'm telling you this because I think it's important for you to be thinking about, again, what is most important to you as a new business, a business that's been in, effect only 5 years or less. Where should you put your funds? I would say that it would be better, for me as a new business to develop out a progressive web application and, not have to pay nearly as much money, because if I develop it out one time, I'm only using a small amount of the services in JotForm. I can get the free JotForm account, develop out my progressive web application and push it out to the world and use that until, I decide to get something that's more sophisticated, if the app that I've developed is not as sophisticated as I need it to be. Sometimes functionality wins out over design. And so for me, I'm big on functionality. Design is great, but I'm big on functionality, okay? And I think that it's important for people to be thinking about what's most important to them when they're developing out an app. So performance optimization, well, improving the speed, responsiveness, and overall performance of a progressive web application when they optimize their techniques, is really key. Because what happens is that the faster people are able to gain access to the information that's in your app, the better. So the loading speed, ensuring there's a fast loading time, and minimize the resource sizes. Don't try to put in really large, objects or images, or images that require too much, of the resources on the phone to use. Leverage the caching mechanisms, meaning that, people coming back to the app, over and over and over again, every time they come back, if they already have the information cached in their phone or in the browser, then it immediately will load. It prioritizes that critical content, so that it loads right away. And then responsiveness, creating the smooth and seamless user experience by optimizing the responsiveness of the PWA across lots of different types of devices. One of the things that I've done when I've developed out PWAs is I try to make it so that whatever it is that people are experiencing on their computer, they can experience that same thing on their phone. It's just as beautiful. It may not look exactly the same, but it functions in the way that it still functions on the web when they're using their computer. So as we're looking at user engagement, PWAs are great for attracting, retaining, and interacting with your users. It's great for getting that loyalty, customer loyalty, because now they have you in their hand, and having the ability to see you in their hand sometimes is huge, for a company, to be able to say, hey, I was able to go to your website and download the critical things that you shared that will be available for me, your ebook or your, handouts, being available, and having those push notifications where you can send somebody a notification that you are maybe running a sale today, or for that matter, you have reduced rates, for summer, or all of those things are really great when people can get that information inside their phone. And then having in-app interactions, creating these elements, maybe you can do challenges or quizzes or polls or social sharing type competitions. Having those things available will really increase your user engagement and help people to know that you really want to interact with them. So how do you market your PWA? Well, the strategies to promote and increase your awareness of this app that you have online as opposed to in an app store really does include SEO optimization. And I know you keep hearing about SEO optimization, and it really is about having keywords that are somewhere on the internet to let people know that you exist and that your app exists. And so there are ways that you can improve the chances of people finding you. And so these are through SEO strategies. So let's take a look. Implementing search engine optimization tactics to improve the visibility that you are going to rank higher in the search engine is key. And so one of the things that you want to do is use some of those great strategies that you would use for a website also with your PWA, because they work. Okay. Keywords, having these short phrases that drives people to you, also placing, links for your PWA in places where people can see them, like on your social media sites. Having social media integration is going to be important, because when you integrate your social media with your PWA, it drives traffic to the PWA. And so you want to do that. You want to have some content sharing going on your PWA to help people, really get involved. And then you got to be able to use the PWA to see, there has to be some way to see if it's working. And so you want to have some analytics, collecting data behind your app to see how many people are using it and how many people are interacting with certain portions inside of the app. What are your engagement levels within the app, and where, could you use to do some implementing of some improvement strategies. So finding out what your key metrics are and identifying and monitoring these key performance indicators, the KPIs, will really help you to do some things better to boost your user retention and your conversion rates. And then also to see about, how long people are staying there. If you can do some things to boost the time that they're staying in the app, then those things are great. Put some tools in there that they may need to use, okay, that they could possibly use other places, but because it's now in your app with other things that they are also using, then they stay on your app longer. And then having a user behavior analysis and analyzing, how do they use this app? When do they use it? At what time of day? What things causes them to go to other things? Those are all really, really key behaviors that you want to take a look at. And this is business intelligence at its finest, okay? We've talked about business intelligence recently. And so this is one way that you can use business intelligence to find out what's really happening. So there are some case studies. There are some successful PWAs. And so we want to, get out there and look at how other people are using it. I would say go into ChatGPT or Perplexity and see if they can pull up for you, or Bard, some other people who are, using PWAs, and what's their success rate? What's their impact? What are the lessons that they're learning from using these PWAs? And how can you have some of those same experiences? And then the last thing is, I want you to have some takeaways today. I want you to be able to understand that, the things that we talked about today, the key insights of this concept of having a PWA really is that you can develop out something that people can have in their hand, where they can be interacting with you and your company, and you can effectively use this to drive engagement in the company, to bring new sales, and to convert people, and the future, here's the thing, the future of PWAs is huge. We found some data that shows that they are not going away. And over the next 20 years, we're going to have more of a group of people who are using PWAs than we have of people who are using other types of native apps. And so because native apps are costly to develop, they're costly to maintain, people are moving to the PWA because it's easy for them to make changes and for them to keep up with whatever their competition is doing. Now, what are some actionable steps? Well, actionable steps are that you could have set up an appointment with us where we can help you to take a look at some of your options. We currently are not really developing out any type of application except for members who have requested those already. We're not really taking a lot of new customers, but we can tell you about what you can do, to have your own app and have it developed out in a way that makes sense for your company. I want to really emphasize that it's so important for you to understand that, each company is different and not everybody requires an app. However, for those of you that feel like an app is something that you could really use, we'd love to do some sort of a meeting with you and kind of look at what your goals are and what you really need, and see what we can do to help you get there. Because it is our belief that people who are in this particular state of being in business only 5 years, they have certain things that they can do at this time that will help to increase or improve their ability to have their business operating at the highest level. And so with that said, we want to do whatever we can do to help you do business better and to help you stay in a position where your company can operate, and function accordingly. So I'm going to show you just quickly, one of the apps that we've developed out, and this is the version of it where this is what it looks like on the web. It's called Mind Aptory. And so some of you guys saw the very first iteration of this, and this is what we've grown to up until now. And so this is what it looks like through a regular browser on a computer, but I'm going to make it smaller because I want you to see what it would kind of look like on your phone. And so if you were on your phone and you were at your desk or somewhere doing work and you needed to have a getaway for a few minutes, you can melt away stress in 3 minutes by using our app. And here, by just clicking on this particular link, it will take you to the section in our app that helps you to melt away stress with breathing exercises. And so you could actually use this app to get you into a position where you are doing a breathing exercise that assists you in bringing yourself back to a state of homeostasis or calm. All right. And so the app has the ability to help you do that very succinctly. And it also has the ability to assist you with some other types of things inside of it that could, very well help you get rid of anxiety or get rid of stress. 9 simple steps, 5 tips for taking better naps. There's a 5-day challenge for improving your mental health. There's another improve your day, 3 desk stretches that you can do every day to improve your body's ability to sit. We have some healing scriptures in here and some scriptures for peace. And then we've got resources. And if you need to, you can set an appointment with us for relaxation therapy. And so, and we got all of our socials here. And this app was developed out so that it could be used on a phone or on a tablet. And we've done it in such a way that it makes it easy and it's free. So we're giving it away. You'll be able to get it tomorrow by going to mindaptory.app. And again, that's mindaptory.app. And so it should be available tomorrow. I am told that they should have it, by tomorrow afternoon. It should be where you can get into it and start using it to bring yourself into a state of calm. You will be able to download it to your desktop on your phone or on your tablet or even on your computer so you can have it available to you right away. Now, let me just also say this. This app was developed in a software called JotForm, and JotForm is a forms app online. If you're interested, we have, a class that we're going to do to show people how to develop an app, and they will be able to get online and get a free JotForm account and set up their app in that class. So we're going to do that, and we're going to be doing that next Thursday at the same time, or you can watch the video later. But if you want to participate, come ready to get into JotForm and build out your own app. And so this is something that we are excited about, and we hope that you are too. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to participate and learn in co-working, a way that you can provide your services and make them available to other people if you're doing business. And if you are a small coaching business, or your small speaking business, or you write books, I'm telling you, doing a JotForm app is absolutely essential, because you can sell your books and your coaching sessions right there from the app. You can even do coaching right there in the app. They have some availability of putting tools in there that makes it easy for you to use it. So I want to teach you how to do that. Well, this has been Patience Rose with Co-working Live. And we are so excited that you have joined with us today. We hope that you will be able to be with us next time, because next time we'll be doing some hands-on stuff tomorrow at 12 noon. So if you can come in the studio, we want you to be able to do that. Go to redworldwide.org and click on co-working at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. And we'll be here with you to share some things and have some fun. But in the meantime, we hope to see you again next time.